Hello everyone and welcome to the third annual deciding the next stream game coin flip championships. I'm your host Silhouette and we are joined with our top four competitors here. As many of you already know, it was previously stated that Ori and the Death River was to be the previous winner, but it turns out that Halo 3 ODST actually had some votes not counted in Georgia. So after we had finished taking that from the audience, it was shown that ODST actually truly won the placement for the tournament. And so for the past few weeks, it had been the featured game on the channel. But now we've got a reset bracket here, fresh, everything's been counted, so we can go through the tournament as planned. First up, we've got Epic Goofy and Ori and the Death River. So to decide, obviously we need to decide whose heads and whose tails before we start. So we'll be going to flip a coin to decide who gets to be heads on the tournament coin flip. Tails, decidedly, choosing that Ori the Death River will get heads in the tournament. Let's see how that goes. The first flip of the match is heads, so that first point will go to Ori and the Death River. We might see a quick match here. Oh, the second run is tails. Okay, it's currently 1-1. So what needs to happen is that Epic Goofy needs to get a second tails call in order for... And it's heads! Ori the Death River pulling it out of nowhere, quickly sending Epic Goofy to the losers bracket. So after sending Epic Goofy to the losers bracket, we're going to find out who's going to be joining them next here. Same deal. Heads and tails to decide who gets heads in the tournament. Shadow of War will be getting heads in the tournament. So the first flip goes directly to Paper Mario, not looking too good for Shadow of War. Could possibly end it with a quick 2-0. Shadow of War gets sent straight to the losers bracket. Not quite sure who was expecting that one. Alright, flipping the ceremonial head for a second. Previously, Ori had been heads and Paper Mario had been tails, so we'll keep it that way. And the first point goes to actually Paper Mario. Surprising lead to start off there. Second point going to Ori the Death River. Okay, this might be the first 1-1 that we had. Actually, no, Epic Goofy had lost in this very similar scenario. Ori has pulled these out before. All he has to do, and he pulls it. Okay, 2-1, similar score to his very first match. Ori the Death River coming into winners finals in the limelight. We will start our losers bracket now so that we can get an opponent for Ori, hopefully one that can really test their skill and their mettle. Personally, I'm rooting for Shadow of War, but we'll just have to see how that pans out here. Flipping the ceremonial coin here, tails on the radar. Epic Goofy could be looking to get a bit of good luck from that because it is getting the first point, as it is the tails call in this tournament. Shadow of War will need a heads to stay alive, and it does. This is a good position for Shadow of War, a bad for Epic Goofy because previously in the very first round it had lost the 1-1 tiebreaker. Here's an instant replay of that. And it's heads! Ori the Death River pulling it out of nowhere, quickly sending Epic Goofy to the losers bracket. And so in order to stay alive, Goofy will need a tails call. Personally, I'm rooting for Shadow of War, bringing it back with a 2-1 after the initial point going to Epic Goofy, but he has now eliminated it as an option further in the tournament. Flipping the ceremonial coin. Paper Mario versus Shadow of War. This is actually a match that we've seen previously in the tournament. It was round 1, in fact, if I remember correctly. So Shadow of War had the heads calls, Paper Mario had the tails calls. Here, Shadow of War taking the initial start with a heads and getting a very quick 2-0 over Paper Mario. It's not playing any games. It seriously means business. It wants to be that game that gets played next in the channel. Now, before we continue on in the tournament, we need first a word from our sponsor, Dove Pink Soap. The beauty bar with deep moisture, 10 bars in this package here. You can see it, #1 dermatologist recommended. Very, very nice brand. I personally don't use it, I'm more of a Amazon.com coding type of myself, but to each their own. Anyway, back to the tournament. I think it would be good if we maybe looked at a bit to the crowd, right? So we've got a comment in reference to the previous two losers, just to sort of gauge the crowd and see what they're feeling. The first one is speaking to Epic Goofy, who lost in the first round and then again in losers bracket. So is the first option really to be eliminated from the tournament. Let's see what our fan has to say here. Calcium Chief says, "You have not aged well." Not the worst comment that we've seen here, but also not the nicest necessarily. Second comment goes to Paper Mario the 1000 Year Door, the second one that was eliminated from the tournament. This comment actually came prior to the loss, so this fan had no clue what would be in store for him. This fan, Donkey Brainless, says, "Slap him in the dick with your mouth, bro." I'm not sure if that loss... Anyway, moving on from the tournament, we have the first round of finals here. This will be Grands, and the winner of this, if it is Ori, will be the decided winner of the tournament, and if it is Shadow of War, will reset the bracket, sending Ori into losers, and he'll just pop right back out, and then we'll have a true final set to play. So to refresh our coin flip here, Ori and Shadow of War both previously had heads calls on theirs, so we're going to decide who now gets it with a coin flip, and Shadow of War will be claiming the heads calls. So if the flip goes initially in Shadow of War's favor, we could be seeing a bracket reset here, potentially 2-0 from Shadow of War. This is something not quite precedented that we had seen here prior, but I don't know what to say here. We've got not much really to be said other than we've got a bracket reset. So we'll be going straight into grand finals here, but you know, this win is at the end of the day determined by a coin toss. But what isn't determined by a coin toss is pulling your first champion from Raid Shadow Legends. Now, this is a game that I've not actually played myself, but they paid me a lot of money to bring this up in the middle, or quite naturally at the end of the tournament. Most people watching, so hopefully the kickback from that channel is immaculate. And you know, we'll see. I've got a couple more tickets. Just sit on the screen to some of the fighters here. There's a bit of an incentive, you know, the gamer incentive. You know, there's a Wizard Man, there's a Bot below, and Dodger's bit here. But you know, something for everyone feels. Anyway, back to the tournament. Shadow of War decisively claiming that 2-0. And we'll get right back into the rest of it. Alright, so here under the main bracket and above the losers bracket, we've got sort of this alternate timeline bracket where Shadow of War will remain... Shadow of War will remain the heads call. This has been a long tournament, excuse me. Ori will remain the tails call. First off, we've got a point straight towards Ori. Not looking too good for Shadow of War, who has already expended the expended the extra life, if you will, that one has in this double elimination tournament. Let's see if he can stay afloat. Nope, he gets fucked over. Ori takes it 2-0 in grand finals after the bracket reset. This is something that some of us might have actually seen coming, but it's not unprecedented for someone with such a decisive lead early on. A better record, honestly, could have been attested to Paper Mario initially with the 2-0 win over the 2-1. But after Ori got that, you know, landslide victory in the third match over Paper Mario, it was sort of smooth sailing from there. But Shadow of War sort of made that like sneaky lineup out of the losers bracket and then came back up to reset the entire tournament. Actually, that grand finals fight that we had there was something that was not expected by many people, especially not Donkey Brainless or the man who called his representation